Efficient milling is a golden means to cleaner and more profitable gold extraction. Mining is a chain of production, and each link from ore extraction to gold refining has a big impact on profits and pollution. This series explores a variety of means to improve efficiency in each link of the production chain. These are the golden means to responsible mining. Milling is the most important step in the mineral processing chain because it liberates the gold, making it available to all the other links in the chain. Good milling is a balance between grain size and cost. Grind too little, and the gold will remain attached to other minerals. Grind too much, and the gold particles will be too fine to recover without chemicals. Let's look inside a mill to see how the ore is ground into smaller grains. In the beginning, most of the particles are relatively large, and most of the gold is trapped inside the larger grains. Only a few grains are very fine. Ideally, the ore particles should be ground until the gold particles are broken free from the other minerals, but not a moment longer. This gold has been liberated from the ore. Milling too long grinds most of the particles into a fine powder. This fine gold is hard to recover and often ends up flowing out with the waste. Over-milling also wastes money and time, so it's important to find out exactly how long you need to mill to liberate your gold. Fortunately, it's possible to do a simple liberation test by panning gold after every 20 minutes of milling time to see how much gold is liberated after each milling cycle. This process will determine both the optimal grain size and the milling time that achieves it. Here in Mount Diwali, in the Philippines, a group of miners uses the liberation test to find out how much time is needed to mill ore from a new mine. Their mills are made of rows of steel drums filled with steel rods that grind the ore as they roll around inside. To ensure maximum grinding efficiency, the inputs are weighed out so that grinding rods or balls make up half of the mass, ore is 1/4, and water makes up the final 1/4 of the load. The goal is to fill each drum about 40% full. The mills are then closed and run for 20 minutes before emptying the ore again and panning to capture any gold that might already be liberated. After milling for 20 minutes, panning produces no gold, only pyrite. The ore is then loaded back into the mill and ground for another 20 minutes, then emptied and panned again. This process was repeated until panning produced no more gold. In this test, lots of gold began to appear in the concentrate after the 3rd, 4th, and 5th milling cycles. After 6 milling and panning cycles, or 2 hours of total milling time, panning produced much less gold. Further milling produced no gold at all. Therefore, the correct milling time for this ore is 2 hours. Smelting the panning concentrate produced 200 milligrams of gold for every 30 kilograms of test ore. This is 20% more gold than we obtained from the same amount of ore using the traditional local method of milling with mercury. Local miners normally mill for 4 hours, twice as long as the optimal time indicated by the liberation test. By grinding their ore too long, these miners were losing gold. Now they can liberate more gold twice as fast using half the electricity. The liberation test shows exactly how long to mill a given ore to get the best liberation with minimal losses of gold. It also indicates the amount of gold that can be extracted using gravity concentration methods like panning. Fortunately, panning is not the only method of gravity concentration, as shown in the concentration video. The tailings of the liberation test can be used to determine the grain size that produces optimal liberation. The sieve test begins by drying and weighing a large sample of liberation test tailings. Samples of these dried tailings are then passed through a series of sieves, starting with the sieve that has the largest mesh size. The amount of ore caught by each sieve is weighed at each step. The sieve that allows 80% of the ore to pass through it indicates the optimal size of grain. If you change mills, make sure that you mill for just enough time that 80% of the ore passes this optimal mesh size, and you will know that you have optimal gold liberation. Good milling frees the gold so that it can be captured by gravity concentration or chemical separation. You can optimize and monitor milling efficiency with some simple grinding and screening tests. Choosing the right milling time, speed, and feed will maximize your gold recovery without the need for mercury. No matter who or where you are, or what type of ore you mine, proper milling is a golden means to clean, profitable, responsible mining.